I'm Christopher Tuttle, President and CEO of Bridgewell, and today I'm joined with Kassandra Garcia, the Clinical Director of our Johnson Street program. Kassandra, it's nice seeing you today.
You as well, thank you.
Kassandra, can you talk a little bit about your role here at Bridgewell?
Yes, I'm the Clinical Director of the Johnson Street Women's Program in Lynn, Mass.
And what does Johnson Street do?
We serve women that are in recovery. Some are women that are fighting with addiction, other are pregnant or postpartum, and they come here to work on their addiction and become sober and be with their children.
And how many beds does Johnson Street have?
We have 24 beds for women and up to 4 beds for babies.
And do you have any babies right now?
We do. We have 3.
Oh, it's very exciting. And usually how long do the women stay there for?
Typically it's 6 to 9 months, but we really work individually with each woman. So it can take longer at times depending on the circumstances of each woman.
And you know, you've been doing this for quite a while now, and you know as well as I do, the road to recovery is often challenging, even in what we would call normal times. How has COVID impacted Johnson Street, and how treatment is moving forward with the women there?
It's definitely challenged us to be more creative in the way that we deliver services. We've really had, as a team in-house, to provide, I would say, more in terms of providing the services that normally the clients would be able to go out and do, such as NA and AA, and really doing that in-house. So we've been providing those meetings through Zoom. We've also vamped up our groups to ensure that the women are really receiving the services that they need on a regular basis and that they're not missing out due to COVID.
Are you seeing that during this time it's just a little tougher, or do you see the engagement of the women in the program at the same level that was pre-COVID, or are you finding that it's a little harder to engage people?
We can engage them the same. However, you know, being in the house for as long as they have and not really being able to have the exposure that they normally would on a daily basis, going out as much as they can, they do definitely require more in terms of our attention and our care, and just kind of working through issues as they come up, and helping them understand the impact of COVID and how that does affect their treatment, and just really trying to keep them motivated.
For the women at Johnson Street, how are they referred to Johnson Street? How do they come to Johnson Street? How do they get there?
They could come in many different avenues. We take referrals from the criminal justice system. So we do have drug courts that we work with, and they refer to us. We also have referrals from either detox or holding centers, and also self-referrals from the community. We just have certain protocol that we really want them to ensure that they come in safe if they don't come from another facility.
And I know one of the challenges during COVID has been that courts have been closed for the last 4 or 5 months, and they're starting to reopen now. And I know, I think referrals for Johnson Street have been down over the last 4 or 5 months during COVID, correct?
They have been.
Are you starting to see, with courts opening up, are you starting to see referrals starting to open up and people starting to be referred back to Johnson Street?
More recently, yes. It has been very recent, within, I would say, the last month or so, but we have seen an increase in referrals.
And because everything always comes back to children and babies, one of the things that Johnson Street truly works on is reunification. Is that correct? So the women who are there with their children, oftentimes it's also working with them about reconnecting with their children, reparenting, and hopefully reunifying at the end of their stay with Johnson Street. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we here have babies that are under 1 year old. Once the babies turn 1, we do have to transition them to another program because we are not able to have children over 1. But we do have women that have children that they're working with other agencies such as Department of Children and Families that aren't necessarily living here with them, but they're really trying to work towards being more involved in their family and being with their children. And that is part of the process here, is that we are helping them to become, in the place where they can care for their kids, even if they're not placed here with them.
That is great, because that's incredibly important work, because the work that you do, especially making that reconnection between mother and child, is life lasting for the women and for the children, and keeping that family unit together. In your time there, Kassandra, can you talk about some examples of the impact Johnson Street has had on the women that you work with and the staff works with?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest impacts that I've seen is, particularly mothers that come into our program either pregnant or with a new infant, and they're new in recovery, and they're trying to work on their recovery, but also trying to learn how to be a parent, and really seeing their transformation over the time that they're here, and seeing them be able to do what they thought they wouldn't be able to do. And that also goes for other women as well without children that come here, seeing them come in very vulnerable, very, in a stage where they really are unsure if they're going to be able to do it, and getting them through that, and then seeing them succeed and graduate from the program is very remarkable.
Yeah, I would second that. In my time here at Bridgewell, I've had the opportunity to go to several graduations at Johnson Street, and talk with women who are graduating, women who are still in treatment, and with the staff. And one of the things that's always impressed me about Johnson Street, among a lot of things, is the fact of how they celebrate success. Not just at graduation, but all through their treatment, and really the encouragement that the staff shows for the women that are in treatment at Johnson Street. With September being Recovery Month, and there's a lot of focus on recovery, there's a lot of focus on substance abuse disorder during this month. What do you think some of the things that we need to be as an agency focused on not just internally, but focused on messaging externally? What do you think people need to know about the ongoing struggles that the women at Johnson Street face, and the other individuals that we work with throughout Bridgewell?
That's an excellent question. I think that it gives us an opportunity to really highlight recovery and the struggle of really understanding that this is a disease, and that addiction is a disease, and that there's so many stigmas in our society, and really trying to help others that might not understand addiction really, know what this battle is, and how hard these women and anyone in recovery is fighting for their lives, and really to become sober.
I think it's an important part, because I think, though we've all been focused on COVID, and rightfully so, during the last 5 or 6 months, it's not like substance abuse goes away. And in fact, a lot will tell you that it really has been enhanced during this time. And that's why it's important, like programs like Johnson Street exist, because the success rate of Johnson Street and the work that gets done there is remarkable. And one of the things that we're fortunate enough here at Bridgewell, especially for the Johnson Street program, I know you're connected to our Lynn Clinic, so there is ongoing mental health work that's being done with the women at Johnson Street. And for some of the women who discharge, who successfully graduate from Johnson Street, some of them move into our own supportive housing programs. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then they continue to receive ongoing case management and support during that time. You're in my position. Now, congratulations, you are running Bridgewell. You're sitting in my chair. What direction should Bridgewell take? What potential services should we provide? And where should we go?
I think when it comes to addiction, the way we can improve services, and we do this actively, but I think really taking into consideration the mental health and trauma that most people who have gone through addiction or are going through addiction have faced or are facing, and really making that part of our treatment and the individualized care that we're providing to each client. And really, ensuring that we're addressing those underlying issues in their recovery and in their treatment here so that they can continue to be successful once they transition out into the world.
No, it's an important part, and trauma, unfortunately, seems to go hand in hand with substance abuse disorder, addiction, and the mental health piece. And you're absolutely correct. And as an agency, we need to continuously look at that and how we are providing that wraparound service to the Johnson Street program. But I think your point is better as a society. We need to understand that it's not just standalone of somebody who's dealing with addiction issues. There's a lot of underlying issues that go along with it. It's not just it's just not one issue.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a very important part of the process.
Well, I appreciate you taking time today, Kassandra. It's very nice seeing you again. Continue to keep up the good work, and hopefully once COVID dies down a little bit and I'm able to go out to programs, hopefully we can see each other face to face in the near future.